Hey, well, welcome back to the hillside, everybody. My name's Dave, and today I'm going to show you guys just an idea of intercropping and what that may or may not entail. So right here, as you can already tell, I've already sown some peas. They were in a little I guess salad container or something like that. Set them on the front porch with the winter sowing method, and by that means I plant them early under in a little greenhouse type scenario, little plastic lid on a salad bowl, and they took a while longer to sprout than if you'd planted them during a warm season, et cetera, et cetera. But these plants are already extremely hardened off and ready to go. So I just transplanted these, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them kind of spread out in this area. And this kind of zoom out is this an old, small kind of broken down cucumber slash tomato trellis, because it's not big enough for a tomato, maybe a small patio style tomato. But what I mean by intercropping today is when you're growing two crops at the same time, trying to maximize the space you have and to utilize every possible thing. Now, with that might be said, you have a long season crop and then you have short season crops. So maybe you're going to start some lettuce or spinach underneath some tomatoes or peppers, or eggplant, maybe something like that, that's going to be growing more into the summertime months. Whereas by the time the summer gets around, your lettuce or spinach or something is just going to be kind of burned up by the sun, and if it survives, it's going to bolt to be leggy or bitter, so you don't want to really have it anyways. So you're actually maximizing your space by growing two plants or two different crops in the same area. Now this pot here is not that big, and this trellis is not that big, and I don't intend on these plants producing a bumper crop of peas, but they will produce some of the sweet sugar snap pods, which I like to eat, put in stir fries, and just eat just fresh off the plant. So it's just a nice springtime treat. So I've showed you this before in some of my other updates. Here in this tray, kind of turn this way, there are 7 different types of greens planted, from lettuces to kales to 2 different types of arugula, pak choys, and in this row here, radish. So the radish is being very healthy. It's getting onto about their second or third true leaf. So what I'm going to do is very carefully separate each of these radishes up, being very careful not to damage or disturb the root ball, get as much soil, keep it as intact as possible. And what I'm going to do is then take them from here, I'm going to bring them over to this pot, and I'm going to put them, just basically try to stagger them around this outside ring, and maybe one in the middle, just to see what happens. Because the premise being, as the radish grows and matures in the next 20 to 30 days, by then the peas will be growing up a little bit taller, but they're not really using the space right now, so I can get a nice, quick, easy crop of some radish right here in this unused space while these peas are getting established and starting to climb up this little trellis. So let me go ahead and pause right here. I'm going to separate some of these radish out, show you how I'm transplanting them, and talk more about some intercropping ideas. Okay, so welcome back. Now as you see here, I've already planted the radish around the outside of this ring. Okay, so what I mean by very gently, see this root ball, it's intact. Yes, there are 2, and that's just fine. Radish will grow just fine side by side, and you don't want to try to separate them out and get every little root taken care of. They're going to be just fine, trust me. Now the roots are all intact, even the taproot kind of hanging down is not such a big deal. So I've pre-made a hole right here in the pot. All you're going to do is you're going to drop it in nice, tamp it down. It'd probably help if I showed you. Tamp it down really nice around it, which is easier to do with 2 hands, but there you go. So once that's in place right there, you're going to water this in really well, and there you go. You've utilized all the space you possibly have right here in this little pot. You have 6 peas, and I think I counted 7 or 8 radish in this little pot. So if you have a small balcony or a small patio, or you just don't want to grow a big garden, you can get multiple things out of one little spot. So just try that out, guys. Next time you're thinking of utilizing some space, you can also do this in ground. It's perfectly fine. If you have a trellis that's in the ground, you want to plant radish around your peas, not a big deal. I know a lot of times people put, like I mentioned before, spinach or even arugulas and lettuce and things like that, cool weather crops, and let them establish, and at the same time interplant warm weather crops so that as one plant is cycling out, another plant is going in. And one thing also to point out that a lot of people don't realize, you can do the same with herbs. There's no reason why you couldn't put a parsley plant over in one corner and some peas on the other side, or cilantro or whatever you have that you may or may not need. It doesn't have to be a complete food crop. If you want to plant a couple flowers in here, but then also have a couple radish next to it, why not? I mean, you get the beauty of the flowers, you get the functionality and the food of the radish or a carrot or whatever it is. But on that caveat, just so you're aware, make sure you're aware of the companion plant that you're putting in there, that they have the same soil and perhaps water or fertilizer requirements. You know, a lot of leafy greens are going to want high nitrogen fertilizer, and if you go blasting a lot of radish with high nitrogen fertilizer, you're going to get a lot of leaves and little root. So that's something to consider. Same with flowers. You know, you may want to put a bunch of bloom booster or, you know, some kind of high phosphorus or potassium fertilizer to help, you know, get those nice big showy blooms, which may not be the best thing if you're trying to grow lettuce in the same pot. You know, I don't know. I haven't looked into that specifically to give you an exact example, but, you know, I try to avoid fertilizer if all possible and just go the compost route, so not a big deal at all. So thanks for watching, guys. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you liked what you saw. Hit the thumbs up and leave us some comments. Hopefully your spring plantings are going fine, and this gives you some ideas of something you can do to utilize some old pots, some unused spaces, and your front porch even. That's where I'm going to put this, guys. It's going to go on the front porch and be ready to pick some radish and snap peas when they're ready. All right, guys, we'll see you next time here on the hillside. Bye-bye.